Good morning / afternoon, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. I'm hoping this is working. Coming to you live from Lima, Peru. That's right, I'm in Lima, Peru. I'm in South America for a little bit, but coming to you live. And again, I'm hoping this is working. I probably should check it myself on my own device. Maybe I'll do that right now. Let's see. I'm going to pull it up here on my phone and see what I see. Here's my phone. I'm looking on my phone. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hey, I can hear myself and see myself. Well, that's something. That is something. Okay, so we're live. It's always a little bit of a challenge doing it this way, especially when I'm just getting started. But I think we're good. I think we're good. It's Central Time here, so the clock you can see here it says Central Time because it's equivalent to Central Time. So we are going to cover the White House press briefing, assuming this works, and then later today, I am planning on doing coverage of the Florida special elections and the Wisconsin Supreme Court election. So that's coming up. Why is that thing making noise? Well, I'm not going to worry about this right now. Oh, I see why. Okay. Okay. So I appreciate you guys being here. I really appreciate our moderators being here. Again, the picture, I got to fix. There's a little bit of an issue with the sort of green screen effect thing, which I'm going to have to work on. So please bear with that. And you know, the picture is not going to be what it normally is because I'm in Peru. Hopefully we can at least do our basic coverage here. So please bear with me while I'm away. But I know there's this little issue with this stuff up here, and it's just something I need to deal with when I get a little time here. Okay. So the press briefing is coming up at noon. Well, if it starts on time, noon Eastern time, which is in 39 minutes. Although who knows, maybe it's going to get late. Maybe it's going to be late. So we're going to talk about some of the different things that are going on. Maybe we'll talk about the special elections and stuff. Also, Cory Booker has been speaking in the Senate to protest against the Trump administration. He's been speaking for what, 15 or 16 hours now, I think. That's been going on as well. Maybe I can throw that up for a second here. Hold on a second. 16 hours. Yeah. Let me do something really quick here. One of our viewers said 16 hours. I'd like to show you for a second. Let's see. Got to pull that up. Here is. Okay, I think this is going to work. I think it's going to work if I do it this way. He's not literally speaking right this second, though. But I'm getting ready to show it to you. You know what I got to do? I got to pull it up here. Let's get that off. Again, I always have to get used to doing things this way because it's a totally different. It's not totally different. It's quite a different setup. So when I do things like this, All right, we're just about there. We're just about there. Good. All right. I am now ready to show it to you if he starts speaking again. Oh, he is speaking. Okay. So let's just take a quick look at Cory Booker speaking live in the Senate now, where he's been speaking for like 15 or 16 hours. Let's see if I can make this work. I think it's going to work. Is this going to work?
And against terrorism, that stand against hardships and ethnic cleansing, that stand against malnutrition. You're so good at pointing out that those are American interests, and that not to do that makes this a more dangerous and unsafe world. A world where countries like ours want to lob missiles into Yemen post facto of crises. So I hear you, Chris Murphy, and I answer your question with this.
All right, again, so he is still speaking. You can find it elsewhere online if you want to watch the whole thing. But I just wanted to point out he is still speaking. Hey, it did work when we showed it. Okay. One of our viewers said his body must ache like by now. I don't think there's a limit, but I mean, eventually, I think if he sits, there's some like rules like if he sits down, it stops or whatever. So it's not going to go on indefinitely. All right. So now that we've checked on that, I want to. Well, I'm not going to worry about that right now. Let's talk about some of the things going on right now. Wisconsin and here's something interesting. Oops, that's not what I want. I want this. Where is, one moment here. I want to just set something up right now. Give me about 10 seconds. It's always a little thing whenever I start doing this on the road. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. So there are tonight, no, not tonight. Yeah, tonight. Yes, it's later today. There are today going on 3 elections, which we're going to cover tonight. There are 2 special elections to fill House seats in Florida, to fill Matt Gaetz's seat and Mike Waltz's seat. And those are very Republican districts. But there's this question as to like how close they will be. The 3 elections today are seen as possible gauges of how the country is feeling about the new Trump administration. So there are these 2 special elections in Florida, and then there's also in both of these very solidly Republican districts. But there's the question of, well, will these be closer than they normally would be? And then there's a Wisconsin State Supreme Court race, which has become nationalized, and I want to say close to $100 million has been spent on this Wisconsin and Florida, this Wisconsin State Supreme Court race. Elon Musk actually was there, I think yesterday, doing a rally. Yesterday, the day before, doing a rally. So we're going to be covering that tonight. Assuming there's no kind of major problems, I'm going to be doing a stream covering that. And I just saw this article from the Washington Post, how long it may take to know the election results. So I want to look at this. But I do know that the polls close in the Florida races at 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Wisconsin polls close at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So My thought was I'll come on before the first polls close. So maybe like around 6 Eastern time I'd come on the air. Maybe. That's the goal. But we'll be doing coverage tonight. Okay? By the way, thanks to Freedom Can. Hey, thanks, Freedom Can. That's super nice of you. I appreciate that. Also, Dean R., our member Dean R. Yeah, I don't have, Carabella, I don't have, this is not my usual setup. So I don't have the sound set up like I normally would, and I don't have everything. Nothing is set up like it normally would. But it allows me to do streaming from Peru, whereas the alternative is to not do streams. So I hope you can bear with, while I'm here, the differences in the video and audio. Okay, hold on a second here. Okay. All right, let's talk about this. Three special election races on Tuesday could provide an early indication of President Trump's popularity just weeks into his second term. This is what we were just talking about. Let me just make sure the Zoom is correct on this. Yeah. I was just saying, three special election races today could provide an early indicator of President Trump's popularity just weeks into his second term, as well as insight into how Democratic messaging about his administration's cuts to the federal government is playing with Americans in those states. So in Wisconsin, is it a special election race in Wisconsin? That I have to check. Is the Wisconsin Supreme Court a special election? Did somebody like retire or something? Probably is. Yes, it is. Well, it is a special election in Wisconsin. So it's all special elections. All right. Baby Goat Whisperer says one of the judges is retiring. All right. Anyways, we'll cover those tonight. But getting back to this, voters in Florida's 1st and 6th congressional districts will head, can you see what I'm seeing? Will head to the polls to elect replacements in the House to Trump allies Matt Gaetz and Michael Waltz. Meanwhile, Wisconsin voters will elect a new member of the state Supreme Court where liberals are defending a one-seat majority. This will be interesting to see what happens with these races. All three races present an opportunity to measure voters' support for Trump and billionaire Elon Musk's effort to overhaul Washington. Musk and groups affiliated with him have pumped about $20 million into the Wisconsin race. Okay. Polls in Florida will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. local time in the 1st and 6th districts. Wait, what does it say? Polls close at 7 p.m. Eastern in the 6th district and 8 p.m. Eastern in the 1st. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Because this says 7 to 7 in both. And then this says, I think this is correct, 7 p.m. Eastern in the 6th district and 8 p.m. Eastern in the 1st district. Oh, no, it makes sense because this is local time. This is local time. And this is Eastern. That's probably what it is. That must be what it is. The AP said vote tabulation finished in the 6th district just before midnight in November's election, while the final votes in the 1st district were counted about 90 minutes later. You know, it's possible I'll come on the air, well, Maybe I'll come on the air like 45 minutes before the polls close in the first place. It could be a long stream. If we're, you never know though. I don't. It might take. You might kind of know what's going on pretty quickly. We'll have to see. While voters in the 2 Florida districts haven't elected a Democrat to represent them in the House in decades, Democratic candidates in both races have outraised their Republican opponents in recent weeks. And then in Wisconsin will be the stage today for the most expensive judicial battle in U.S. history. 2 judges are running for a seat on the swing state Supreme Court, which will determine whether the court retains its liberal majority. Polls will be open from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. The final vote tabulations in 2023 for the spring election in Wisconsin were posted around 2:30 a.m. Okay, so that race has drawn more than $90 million in funding, including notably about $20 million from Musk and groups affiliated with him. Envy says the judge is all about the abortion laws in Wisconsin. That is an issue I've seen that, certainly could be impacted by who wins that race. So maybe a bunch of people are voting on that issue, or that's one of the big issues they're voting on. We'll talk about all this more tonight when we cover this. It sounds like we'll have a little while to be on the air tonight when we're covering this. Glowman says Panhandle is on Central Time. You're not going to be able to see this. I'm over here on Wikipedia, and Central Time. Florida Panhandle west of, you can't see what I'm looking at, hold on. According to Wikipedia, it says Florida Panhandle west of the Apalachicola River. Part of Florida is in Central Time. Okay, so we will be covering that tonight. I'll take a couple of comments on this now, but we will be covering that tonight. Thanks again to all of our moderators, by the way. Janet B is here. Thank you so much, Janet B, for moderating over there on YouTube. Hang on, I need to pull this up here. Over on Twitch, Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire, Sarah, and Surly Dev are all moderating. Thank you. They're on Twitch. And then Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha on Facebook. And then, on X. And then I want to thank our Facebook mods as well. Kay Lowry Body is moderating for us now. Thanks so much, Kay. I appreciate it. And hang on a moment. Thank you to Nicholas Hersant for your support. Nicholas said he saw some report, some Israeli report, that a large-scale attack on Iran will begin soon? Look, I mean, there's been talk for a while that Israel might attack, Iran's nuclear facilities at some point. Will it happen? I don't know. That certainly would be a huge event if it happened. Maybe the U.S. would participate in that. So we will have to see. I'll certainly cover if it happens, but I will certainly keep an eye on it. Thank you, Nicholas, so much. That's really nice of you, Nicholas Hersant from the UK. Our viewer Oinky says shock and awe 2.0. By the way, we're going to be covering the tariff stuff tomorrow. Hey, Lynn Downey, thanks so much, Lynn Downey. That's so nice of you. Thanks, Lynn. Otis Jr. thinks it will not be Israel that attacks Iran, it will be the U.S. That's what Otis said. Oh, I have video from the White House press room. If you give me a second, I have video I can show you from the press briefing room. So hang on a moment here, and I will pull that video for you. That's nice. That's always good. I got to do two things here. Oh, and thanks so much also, Mama 457 Rose. That's super nice of you. Really appreciate it. Mama 457 Rose. Thank you. Again, I am not only am I not in the United States, I am not in North America. I'm not even in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm in South America. Hold on. I got to pull this thing up. Where is it here? Where am I looking for? Doing two things at once. I'm in Lima, Peru for a little bit, so attempting to do the stream from there. So thanks for bearing with me. It's a little bit different than when I do it in the normal studio. All right, I'm pulling this up. I'm pulling up the live footage from the briefing. All right, hang tight, turn that off. And now what I'm going to do is do this. Add this, do this. And this is, why is this not extending? There we go. This is going to be, here we go. What do I have to do? I got to fix one thing real quick. Oh, here we go. Okay, is this working? Let's see. There's the guy. That is the guy at the White House press briefing. He's not giving the briefing yet.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Mic check, guys.
Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Hey, thanks so much to PZ Papa Zulu, who says Karoline is a breath of fresh air and doesn't let the press intimidate her. Thank you, PZ Papa Zulu, for that, for your support. So nice of you. All right, so we're covering the White House press briefing, which is starting in about 15 minutes.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Can I turn this
Mic
down
check.
a little
1, 2,
bit?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
It's going to turn it down a little bit. But hold on. I turned it down a little bit. But I still have some audio on. Can you guys hear it some? All right. So we haven't even talked about the tariffs yet. The tariffs is a huge announcement tomorrow. I believe that is now scheduled for tomorrow at 4. Let me confirm that for you. We'll definitely be covering that. President Trump is announcing his new tariffs, which he calls, as Kells says, he calls Liberation Day. It says here, Make America Wealthy Again event, 4 p.m., White House Rose Garden. That's what the White House says. So President Trump will be doing that, his big tariff announcement, tomorrow at 4 p.m., and we'll be covering that too. One of our, Paul Tissue, our viewer, says, I assume this briefing will be dominated by tariffs talk. Well, there's the special elections tonight. There's a bunch of layoffs reportedly going on in the Health and Human Services Department today. There was a story that came, there's a bunch of stories here. Hold on. I don't want to go too fast because then I just don't talk about anything. Give me 1 second. Let me pull something up here. Oh, hold on. Sorry, wait a second. Hang on. We should be on this.
8, 9, 10. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Sorry, I don't know why we weren't showing you that. Hang on a moment. Hang on a moment. Yeah, so we actually have a bunch of news coverage coming for you. Even though I'm in Peru, we have a bunch of news coverage coming for you the next couple days. We have special elections coverage tonight and tariffs coverage tomorrow. You can see here, well, real quick, if I can show this to you real quick. I'm not going to show it to you. AP has an article, Trump has dubbed April 2nd Liberation Day for his tariffs. All eyes are on Wednesday, they say. Trump has repeatedly called April 2nd Liberation Day, with promises to roll out a set of tariffs or taxes on imports from other countries that he says will free the U.S. from a reliance on foreign goods. To do this, he has said he will impose, quote, reciprocal tariffs to match the duties that other countries charge on U.S. products. But a lot remains unknown about how these levies will actually be implemented. It's unclear how high the tariffs will be, by the way. We might not know until exactly when Trump announces it. AP says details around Trump's plans remains uncertain. Reciprocal tariffs could take the form of product-by-product duties, for example, or broader averages imposed across all goods from each country, or perhaps something else entirely. What's going on with the market today? I'm going to check my phone here. According to my phone, by the way, I think they turned the audio off on this shot. NASDAQ is up almost 1% today. S&P 500 is almost up 0.5%. The Dow is up 0.18%. Hey, Bitcoin's up a bit after going down a bit the last few days. Bitcoin is at around 85,000. Our viewer Bella Donnell, did I read that right? Said reciprocal tariffs are fair trade. We have about 10 minutes till this press briefing. Look, I see a flash says it will all crash on Thursday. Jason S. says, let's do this. So tariffs are going to be announced. Also, there's this other story. I want to mention, which I think will definitely tariffs will be discussed today. There was this story that, where is it here? Hang on. I'm pulling this up for myself so I can mention it to you. Yeah, President Trump, the Trump administration, according to a court filing Monday, man, I don't even know what day it was. Monday is yesterday. According to a court filing yesterday, the Trump administration said a man was erroneously deported to El Salvador because of an administrative error. Can actually see this real quick. If I do this, Trump administration says man deported to El Salvador in error. I'm guessing this will be asked about. Just to give you the basic idea about this, Reuters says this has been widely reported now. The Trump administration erroneously reported a man it alleges is a gang member in Maryland. The Trump administration erroneously deported him to El Salvador as part of its March 15th deportation flights, despite a judge's ruling prohibiting his removal, according to a court filing on Monday. Lawyers for the man, in a separate filing, said he is not a member of the MS-13 gang and demanded his immediate return to the U.S. In Monday's filing, a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement official said Abrigo Garcia was on a third flight deporting people in error, despite a 2019 judgment granting him protection. The court filing said, and I believe, again, this is the Trump administration saying this. The court filing said through administrative error, Abrigo Garcia was removed from the U.S. to El Salvador. This was an oversight, and the removal was carried out in good faith based on the existence of a final order of removal and Abrigo Garcia's purported membership in MS-13. So I am assuming that is going to be asked about. Yes, the Trump administration acknowledged the administrative error. You're seeing the briefing room right there. Thank you for joining us for our coverage today. I am in Lima, Peru for a little bit in South America, but still trying to bring you guys live news coverage while I'm here. We will have coverage of the Florida and Wisconsin special elections tonight, and also we will have hang on a moment here. We will have coverage tomorrow of the President Trump tariffs announcement. So please bear with me. You know, I hope there's not huge technical difficulties while I'm here. There could be. The sound in the picture is going to be different. So hopefully this can work. But again, I am in South America on a different setup than I normally would use. Thank you, Box, for watching over there on Twitch. It is 10:55. Smello Free thinks the man will get a massive settlement if he makes it back to the U.S. They admitted they deported by mistake. That I don't know. I don't know enough about the law to know about that. There was an interesting story, speaking of the White House press briefings. Was it Axios who wrote about this? That they were going to switch up the seating arrangements, maybe? Yeah, so the Washington Post said the White House Correspondents Association on Monday strongly objected to a reported plan for the White House to take over the process of determining where reporters sit in the room. Axios reported on Sunday that the Trump administration plans to impose its own seating chart for reporters. According to Axios' story, legacy media outlets will still have a place in the room, though they might not have the close proximity to the podium they have long had. Now, that's not happening today, but that could happen at some point. Hang on 1 second here. As we wait, after the briefing, we'll take your comments and questions. By the way, thanks to QBat for the gift sub on Twitch. Thank you. Thanks so much, McBritches, for subscribing too. Looks like they're getting ready over there, putting some video up on the wall. Now, what I'll probably do is, when it actually starts, I'll switch to the White House footage because, all right, let me get this prepared here. When it starts, I'll switch to the White House footage because they will show the questioners. All right, so let me just make sure I'm ready to do this. Yes, so I have both of them queued up. So if you notice, like about a couple minutes in that it like pauses for a second or something, that's probably because I'm switching the feed. Do we have audio from here? Make sure here. I think they have not put the audio back on. I think they shut the audio off until it starts. Again, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for bearing with me. Also, hopefully after I've done a couple streams from Peru, I sort of get a little more comfortable with the setup. I'm not used to doing it this way. Shout out over there to some of our moderators. Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire on Twitch. Matthew Kohai 3, McBritches, Sarah Surly, Dev Tariag. On YouTube, Beth Mythical, thank you. Janet B. Danny James, hey, thanks, Danny. Cynthia Moon. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X. I know Kay Lowry Body was moderating on Facebook. We also have moderators over there like Margaret Riley, Paul Anderson, Christina Neal. Thanks so much to all of our moderators. I'm just hoping, oh, you know what? I realized I don't have something. There's one thing I don't have. It's fine. I'll just have to deal with this when it starts. They are getting ready. I'll also keep an eye out for other breaking news. Chad Pergram of Fox says that Cory Booker, who's been speaking something like 16 hours in the Senate as like a protest against the Trump administration, he has just suspended his speech for the Senate prayer at noon ET, says Chad Pergram. And Sahil Kapoor says his speech is entering its 17th hour. Senate floor is in business until... It's in limbo. Senate business is in limbo until Booker yields. Chad Pergram of Fox says it's the 6th longest speech in Senate history. Again, tonight we will have coverage of the special elections in Florida and Wisconsin coming up tonight. Hope you can join us for that. And tomorrow, tariff announcement coverage. By the way, you also might hear, it's not like there's some outside noise. I don't know if you guys can hear it at all, but you very well might hear it. While I'm here in Peru, you might hear some outside noise, like traffic noise or whatever, during the stream. So I apologize if you do. Oh, Elena Treen made an interesting point. She's with CNN. She noted that the announcement, she said the announcement was moved back an hour to 4 p.m. Eastern time, the tariffs announcement tomorrow. But the big point she's making is that the markets close, the U.S. stock market closes at 4 p.m. The U.S. markets, right? And that's when the announcement's scheduled for, 4 p.m. I think there actually is audio on this. It's just light. Yeah, I'm hearing a little audio. Roger Shoemaker says 9:30 to 4. History Underfoot thinks Trump announces bad news after markets close typically. I think we're good to go. I hope we're good to go here. Hopefully this all works. Again, maybe a minute or two and I might switch to the White House feed because they will show the questioners. This is just the standard White House press briefing. So they do usually several a week where the press secretary takes questions from reporters on whatever they want to ask about. But I'm guessing we'll have questions, as we talked about the tariffs coming up, maybe about the special elections coming up tonight, maybe about the layoffs going on. We didn't really talk about that in the Health and Human Services Department today. Maybe about the reports that the Trump administration admitted that one person was sent to the El Salvador prison due to an administrative error. Could be all kinds of questions. Oh, it shouldn't say noon ET anymore. It's after noon ET right now. So I'm going to change the headline to any moment White House press briefing. There we go. We just heard the 2-minute warning. Did you guys hear that? 2 minutes until the briefing. We just heard it. We just heard the 2-minute warning. with White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. Right, I see people coming in. Some people just came in. Marcus says, and one person left again. What are we expecting? We are expecting a bunch of different questions on different topics. We'll have to see. You never know. I saw this story that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, has directed prosecutors to seek the death penalty for Luigi Mangione. Oh, hold on. She's coming in right now. Hang on.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. How are we? Good. Good to see you all. Mission to repair and tow an immobilized tactical vehicle in Lithuania in the early hours of March 25th. Tragically, 3 soldiers were found deceased in Lithuania yesterday, and it pains me to confirm that today the 4th soldier was also found deceased. The President, the Secretary of Defense, and the entire White House are praying for the victims' friends and family during this unimaginable time. This is another stark reminder of the selfless sacrifice of our brave military men and women who risk their lives around the world every day to keep us safe. God bless them. On another note, at our southern border, there is more massive news. Southwest border crossings in March fell to the lowest level in American history, down 94% from March of last year under President Biden, when 137,000 illegal aliens poured across our wide-open southern border. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, Border Patrol agents are now back to doing the jobs they signed up for, securing the border, rather than serving as travel agents for illegal aliens. The Los Angeles Times captured the Trump effect on the border with a recent article. Their headline read, "California-Mexico border, once overwhelmed, is now nearly empty." With so few migrants coming into the U.S., they wrote, "Shelters that once served migrants have completely closed." Deportations of illegal aliens who threaten the safety of the American people are also continuing at a rapid pace. Deportations of illegal aliens who threaten the safety of the American people are also continuing at a rapid pace. Over the weekend, the United States military transferred a group of 17 violent criminals from the Tren de Aragua and MS-13 terrorist organizations to El Salvador. And an illegal alien who was released by the Biden administration into our country was just arrested in Georgia and charged with the horrific killing of Camelia Williams, a mother of 5 and grandmother. The suspect has now been indicted on charges of arrested in Georgia and charged with the horrific killing of Camelia Williams, a mother of 5 and grandmother. The suspect has now been indicted on charges of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, rape, aggravated sexual battery, and necrophilia which for those who don't know, necrophilia is a sexual obsession with a corpse. This suspect was ordered to be removed in July 2023, but the Biden administration allowed him to stay. This case represents the ruthless murderers, rapists, and pedophiles who Joe Biden and Democrats let into our country over the past 4 years through our southern border. They should have never been here in the first place. Keep this in mind the next time you see Democrats protesting future illegal alien removals from our country. President Trump is focused on fulfilling his greatest obligation, to keep the American people safe and to defend our country from violent invaders. Looking ahead to tomorrow, April 2nd, 2025, will go down as one of the most important days in modern American history. Our country has been one of the most open economies in the world, and we have the consumer base hands down, the best consumer base. But too many foreign countries have their markets closed to our exports. This is fundamentally unfair. The lack of reciprocity contributes to our large and persistent annual trade deficit that's gutted our industries and hollowed out key workforces. But those days of America, beginning tomorrow, being ripped off are over. American workers and businesses will be put first under President Trump, just as he promised on the campaign trail. The president's historic action tomorrow will improve American competitiveness in every area of industry, reduce our massive trade deficits, and ultimately protect our economic and national security. President Trump's economic vision is rooted in common sense. America will offer companies the lowest taxes, energy costs, regulations, if they make their products right here in the United States and hire American workers for the job. It's simple. If you make your product in America, you will pay no tariffs. We have already seen a number of the largest companies in the world respond to this economic approach. For example, Project Stargate, led by Japan-based SoftBank and US-based OpenAI, and a $500 billion private investment in the United States-based artificial intelligence infrastructure. Apple announced a $500 billion NVIDIA announced it will invest hundreds of billions of dollars over the next 4 years in U.S.-based manufacturing. That President Trump's Taiwan Semi-First approach is already working. In our new media seat today is Mark Halperin, the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Two Way, a new live video platform that builds communities around interactive conversations with leaders and content creators from every subject area. Mark and his colleagues welcome all voices into discussions that are spirited, but they have a million watch time hours since the platform began just last year. This is new media in its truest sense, allowing the people to ask questions, make comments, and be an active part of engagement on the most important issues facing the country and our world. With that, Mark, please kick us off and welcome to the briefing room.
Thank you, Caroline. Appreciate it. I'll ask you a question about tariffs and then one from one members of our community about education. It's perceived by some that companies or countries, if they change their policies either before tomorrow or after tomorrow, can have the president alter what he's planning for that country or that sector. Is that a possibility? And if so, what factors the president consider in making those changes?
Well, the ultimate change for these companies and these countries, Mark, will happen when they decide to do business in the United States of America. And as I just laid out, they will face no tariffs at all if these companies choose to invest here in the United States and to move their production and their manufacturing here to the United States as well. As for tomorrow, the president will be addressing the decades of unfair trade practices that have ripped our country off and American workers off. It has hollowed out our middle class. It has destroyed our heartland, and the president is focused on reshifting our global economy to ensure that America is once again the manufacturing superpower of the world. So
if they do something today or later in the week that's a pledge for future activity, would that be good enough potentially to alter the policy?
Again, the president has been looking at the very unfair trade practices of the past. Certainly, the president is always up to take a phone call, always up for a good negotiation, but he is very much focused on fixing the wrongs of the past and ensuring that American workers have a fair shake.
So if someone calls after tomorrow and says, hey, I'm ready to make a change, he'd be open to that?
The president is always open to taking calls.
Okay. A question from one of our community members. Katie Reeves is a school teacher in Wisconsin. She's taught K-8 in public, independent, private, and private schools. And here's what she wanted me to ask you. She says, I see the elimination of the Department of Education as an excellent first step in the improvement of our school system do you see any further role the federal government can take beyond this, possibly in promoting the expansion of voucher programs or reducing the influence that teachers' unions hold over our schools?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Katie for her service to our country and our nation's children. Being a teacher is the most noble profession that we believe one can have. And the President said in his remarks when he signed the executive order to dismantle the Department of Education that he loves our teachers. And in part, this order is to empower our teachers to have greater decision making in the classroom. Nobody knows our nation's children and our students better than our teachers who are with them every single day. As for the federal government's role, to get to the heart of Katie's question, the President has made it clear to Linda McMahon that we need to find other places within our federal government for critical programs regarding education. Pell Grants, Title IX, lawsuits, etc., civil rights lawsuits, all of that are critical functions, special needs programs, nutrition programs, but there are other places throughout the federal bureaucracy where those things can happen and work. The Department of Education has been a very bloated bureaucracy. We spent trillions of dollars on this department, and for what? Our children are worse off as far as education goes today than they were when this department originated, and that's very concerning to the President. So,
the two issues she cited are those priorities for the President: school education choice, vouchers, and diminishing the role of teachers' unions.
The President is very supportive of both of those things, particularly when it comes to school choice. He has said that school choice is the civil rights issue of our time, and he wants every child, regardless of zip code, socioeconomic status, how much money their parents have, to be able to go to the school of their choosing that best suits their educational needs. And he is going to empower state and local leaders to make those decisions on behalf of our nation's children. Thanks for being here, Mark. Jeff.
Just changing subjects for 1 second. The administration has expressed a complete confidence in how all the deportation flights to El Salvador were conducted. But now that the administration has conceded that there was an error of one Salvadoran national, will there be any reviews conducted? And does the President express any thoughts on the one error that was disclosed in court last night?
Well, first of all, the error that you are referring to was a clerical error. It was an administrative error. The administration maintains the position that this individual who was deported to El Salvador and will not be returning to our country was a member of the brutal and vicious MS-13 gang. That is fact number one. Fact number two, we also have credible intelligence proving that this individual was involved in human trafficking. And fact number three, this individual was a member, actually a leader of the brutal MS-13 gang, which this president has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Fact number four is that foreign terrorists do not have legal protections in the United States of America anymore. And it is within the president's executive authority and power to deport these heinous individuals from American communities. It is a promise he campaigned on. It is a promise he is keeping. And every single person in this room should be grateful for that, considering especially MS-13 is very prevalent and prominent here in the District of Columbia, in Maryland, and in Virginia. And the President, the Attorney General, everyone who has been involved in these operations is focused on eradicating these criminals and terrorists from our communities.
The Vice President said he was a convicted member of MS-13. What evidence is there to back that up?
There's a lot of evidence, and the Department of Homeland Security and ICE have that evidence, and I saw it this morning. Steve.
Has the President fully made up his mind on the level of tariffs to impose tomorrow? We keep hearing about a 20% flat rate.
The President said last night he has made a decision and a determination. I was with him in the Oval Office earlier, and he is going to announce that decision tomorrow. I don't want to get ahead of the President. This is obviously a very big day. He is with his trade and tariff team right now, perfecting it to make sure this is a perfect deal for the American people and the American worker, and you will all find out in about 24 hours from now.
And are the car tariffs going to go into effect on April 3rd as scheduled?
Correct. Yes, they will.
Okay. And last thing, would you like to respond to the Chinese military drills around Taiwan?
Yes, I would. As a matter of fact, the National Security Council briefed me on this morning, and they said that the President is emphasizing the importance of maintaining peace in the Taiwan Strait, encouraging the peaceful resolution of these cross-strait issues, reiterating our opposition to any unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force or coercion. That is directly from the National Security Advisor. Just for you, Steve Holland of Reuters. Monica.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Elon Musk this week revealed that Doge found that the Biden administration issued over 2 million Social Security numbers to illegal aliens, found 20 million dead people marked as alive in the Social Security system. Has the White House confirmed these numbers with Elon, and is the White House looking into correcting this?
I'm not sure about those specific numbers that Mr. Musk cited. I can tell you what the Social Security Administration has said themselves, according to an Inspector General's report that was conducted last year, showing there was nearly $80 billion worth of fraud in this program. We know for a fact there are individuals who should not be receiving benefits on the Social Security rolls, and this administration is focused on cleaning out the waste, fraud, and abuse in every agency, but particularly in Social Security, to make it stronger for our tax-paying, law-abiding citizens who deserve these entitlements and programs. Because you did bring up Doge, I do want to tout the incredible efforts that have been made at the Environmental Protection Agency. And Administrator Lee Zeldin is just doing a tremendous job. Just yesterday and today it will be going into effect. He announced that taxpayers will be saved $8 million in annual lease costs by moving staff out of the 323,000 square feet of space that the EPA currently occupies, which is completely unnecessary. Yesterday, Administrator Zeldin also announced he will be shutting down a museum that the Biden administration built to tell a selective story about the EPA's history and climate change. It was a real pat on the back to President Biden. And guess how much American taxpayers paid for it? $4 million for this museum that I think only 1,000 visitors saw last year alone. And it will cost American taxpayers $600,000 per year to operate this museum. Well, it's not going to exist anymore. We're going to save taxpayers those critical funds. And Administrator Zeldin is very proud to announce that. And just at EPA alone, and the cuts that they have made, they've saved taxpayers more than $22 billion in wasteful grants and spending. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. When the president goes down to Florida on the weekends, does he ever hear from, there are so many retired folks down in Florida, does he ever hear from any retired Americans who are stressed about these wild swings in the stock market because of the tariff uncertainty, and they're sitting there on fixed income or living off a 401k, and they don't know how much money's going to be left?
Well, certainly they are legitimate concerns, and the president takes those concerns very seriously, and he's addressing them every single day. And tomorrow's announcement is to protect future generations of the senior citizens you mentioned. It's for their kids and their grandkids to ensure that there are jobs here in the United States of America for their children to live the American dream, just like they presumably did. And as for their worries about their 401ks, their Social Security, I just addressed Social Security. This president is always going to protect it for our tax-paying senior citizens. As for their 401ks, look at what President Trump did for you in his first term. He is working on implementing that economic formula every single day by lowering inflation, lowering energy prices, massive deregulatory efforts, while simultaneously effectively implementing tariffs, and they'll hear more about that announcement tomorrow.
And you said that the president right now is with the trade and tariff team. They are very confident that this is all going to work. But
Yes.
What if they're wrong?
They're not going to be wrong. It is going to work. And the president has a brilliant team of advisors who have been studying these issues for decades. We are focused on restoring the golden age of America and making America a manufacturing superpower. And again, Peter, I would point you to the investments that have already trickled into this country. And the president hasn't even made his tariff announcement yet tomorrow. There have been billions of dollars in private investments from around the world pouring into American communities. What does that look like for those watching at home, for the people you mentioned, worried about their own economic circumstances? It means more jobs in your communities, which means more money, more investments, more money in your pocket. That's what the president is committed to. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the president's commitment to tax cuts, which we are counting on Congress to do, especially on Social Security.
And one more.
Sure.
Are the special elections today a referendum on the president?
I think first of all, as you know, I'm a government employee now, so I'm not very much allowed to comment on elections that are taking place. That's something to get used to, having just been on the campaign trail for quite some time. But the president is the leader of the America First movement and the MAGA movement. And that was made very clear on November the 5th when he received nearly 80 million votes. I could also say that it is the constitutional right of every law-abiding American in these places where these elections are being held to vote. and every American should exercise their constitutional rights. Sure.
Thanks, Karoline. A few questions about this deportation case. First, I wanted to clarify something that you said to Jeff a few minutes ago. You said you'd seen evidence that this man was a convicted gang member. In what court was he convicted and for what?
This individual was an MS-13 ringleader. This individual was also engaged in human trafficking. And I'm glad you brought up this point again, because I would like to point out that if you just saw the headline from the insane failing Atlantic magazine this morning, you would think this individual was Father of the Year, living in Maryland, living a peaceful life, when that couldn't be further from the truth. They didn't even mention in the title of that article, or even in the first paragraph, that this individual is an illegal criminal who broke our nation's immigration laws. He is a leader in the brutal MS-13 gang, and he is involved in human trafficking, and now MS-13 is a designated foreign terrorist organization. Foreign terrorists have no legal protections in the United States of America, and this administration is going to continue to deport foreign terrorists and illegal criminals from our nation's interior.
But a judge ordered that he should remain in this country. So are you saying that it is okay to ignore a judge's ruling if you don't like it?
Who does that judge work for?
He's an immigration
It was
judge.
an immigration judge who works for the Department of Justice at the direction of the Attorney General of the United States, whose name is Pam Bondi, who has committed to eradicating MS-13 from our nation's interior. And let me tell you why we've made this commitment. MS-13, may I remind each and every one of you, is a brutal and vicious gang. They raped and strangled a 20-year-old autistic woman to death in Maryland. They hacked 4 people to death with machetes in a park on Long Island. They have kidnapped, sexually tortured, and shot a teenage girl in Texas after she insulted them, allegedly. Killed and mutilated a 17-year-old girl in Virginia, stabbing him 16 times and cutting off his hands. They beheaded and cut out the heart of a man in Washington, D.C., They raped and murdered a 13-year-old girl in California. They sex trafficked a slew of young girls, including one who was just 12 years old. Raped an 11-year-old girl in Brooklyn while her brother was in the room. Sex trafficked a 13-year-old in Maryland and Virginia, miles away from this White House, even beating her 26 times on her backside with a baseball bat. Pressured homeless New Yorkers to undergo unnecessary surgeries such as spinal fusion in order to bolster their fraudulent lawsuits. These are vicious criminals. This is a vicious gang. And I wish that the media would spend just a second of the same time you have spent trying to litigate each and every individual of this gang who has been deported from our country as the innocent Americans whose lives have been lost at the hands of these brutal criminals. We maintain our position, and very strongly so. Jennifer.
One more on the tariffs. Can you say what the latest thinking is on the start date? I know you were just in the Oval. Are they all going to take effect this week on the reciprocal tariffs? And whenever they start, is that enough time for companies and everyone involved to adjust to that start date?
My understanding is that the tariff announcement will come tomorrow. They will be effective immediately. And the president has been teasing this for quite some time, as you know. He's talked a lot about April 2nd as Liberation Day in America. It would be taking place today if not for April Fool's Day. But tomorrow will be the day, and he's been talking about it for a while. And as a result, you've seen these companies make commitments to investing right here in the United States. Jasmine.
Thank you so much. I wonder, back on tariffs, what, if any, market indicators is the White House looking for to see if this tariffs plan is successful down the line?
Well, look, the president has been asked and answered this question about the stock market and whether he's watching it. And I've said, and he has said, the market is a snapshot in time. Yesterday, Dow futures were up. And there's been a lot of talk about the market, and it was up yesterday. So, look, the president wants to ensure that all Americans make out well, particularly Main Street. That's the focus of these tariffs. But as I've said repeatedly, just like they were in his first term, Wall Street will be just fine. Shelby.
Thanks. A bipartisan pair of senators sent a letter to the president today arguing that the recent strikes in Yemen are emboldening the Houthis and saying that Congress has not authorized war against them. Is the administration planning to consult with Congress at some point or going forward regarding the strikes, and any response on the letter?
Well, I would absolutely reject Congress's claims. Who made those claims in Congress?
Senator Jeff Merkley and Rand Paul.
Okay, well, I would absolutely reject those claims. These Houthi strikes have been incredibly successful. Last time I was at this podium, there were more than 100 successful strikes. There have now been over 200 successful strikes against the Houthis. Iran is incredibly weakened as a result of these attacks, and we have seen they've taken out Houthi leaders. They've taken out critical members who were launching strikes on naval ships and on commercial vessels, and this operation will not stop until the freedom of navigation in this region is restored, which is a critical principle, and this president stands behind our Defense Department, who's doing a tremendous job.
And are they going to, is the White House going to confer with Congress going forward on this?
I would have to ask our team here at the White House, but the president is well within his authority, as is the Secretary of Defense. Again, these are defensive strikes. The Houthis have been launching attacks on U.S. naval vessels and commercial ships for quite some time. Go ahead.
Caroline,
Yeah.
The pause on the Canadian and Mexican tariffs, the fentanyl tariffs, that's set to expire tomorrow. Is the president considering extending that pause?
Look, I will let the president speak on the specifics of the tariffs tomorrow. But as for fentanyl, we have seen this has certainly caused a national security crisis here in the United States. Fentanyl continues to be the #1 killer of young people in this country, and the president is very much focused on that. Deanna.
Thank you, Caroline. The president recently signed an executive order on making D.C. safe and beautiful. On the campaign trail, he talked about making New York great again. Does he have any plans on establishing a similar task force? Has he been pressuring Governor Hochul in any way in his conversations about New York and lowering crime?
Well, he has been in correspondence with Governor Hochul quite a bit on the issue of crime, also on the issue of congestion pricing, and so many other issues that are facing New Yorkers. And he wants New York to clean up their streets just as he does here in Washington, D.C. He also speaks to Mayor Adams as well. So he's engaged with state and local leaders across the entire country to ensure they're doing their part to help American citizens in each and every state, regardless of if it's a red state or a blue state.
A question on Russia. Yesterday, the Russian government said that their new goal is 160,000 conscripts for the war. Has the president seen that number, and does he have any response given his recent conversations on peace talks?
Well, I can tell you what the president said last night, and that is he is frustrated with leaders on both sides of this war. He wants this war to end. There are men that are dying on both sides, and it's been going on for far too long. Our team continues to be engaged with the Russians as we are with the Ukrainians, and the president continues to be very, very much engaged on this topic every single day.
Caroline?
Sure.
Caroline,
Sure.
The president said over the weekend that he couldn't care less if prices went up on foreign cars because people buy more American cars. There's been consensus from a lot of economists that these tariffs could raise prices on other goods as well. Is the president comfortable with Americans on Main Street paying more because of these tariffs?
The president is doing everything he can, and this entire administration is doing everything we can to bring down the cost of living in this country. And inflation...
Hold on.
Some regulations that this administration is focused on slashing every single day. I just read you a statistic just from the Environmental Protective Agency alone. We're saving taxpayers money that's ultimately going to drive down inflation, and we're unleashing the might of our energy industry, which will bring down prices as well. To the heart of your question, because this is very important to the American people, you should trust what this president did for you in his first term. He effectively utilized tariffs while driving down inflation. It was a record low 1.4% when he left office, and he's focused on getting back to that. It's unfortunate the previous... Sure.
Representative Anna Paulina Luna left the Freedom Caucus over their lack of support for her bill that would allow new parents to proxy vote around 12 weeks around the birth of their baby. Does the president support that bill?
I'm not sure. I haven't actually talked to the president about that bill, but I certainly can and can get a take on if he supports it or not.
Thank you. And one more. The D.C. Circuit ruled last week that the president can fire holdover Biden appointees of independent agencies. Will this ruling empower President Trump to dismiss more federal employees?
Well, the president has given the responsibility to his cabinet secretaries to hire and fire at their respective agencies, and they reserve that right. You saw the Secretary of Health and Human Services announced more layoffs today. This is all part of the administration's effort for a mass reduction in force in the federal bureaucracy here in Washington, D.C. to save American taxpayers money. As for agencies within the president's executive authority, the president retains that right. And we've seen there have been bureaucrats at some of these agencies that have been trying to act independent. They need to remember who they work for. It's the executive. You look at the United States Institute of Peace, for example. There was a little bit of a standoff with bureaucrats over there who didn't want to realize who they work for, and that is Donald Trump. And President Trump is focused on streamlining these agencies' money, and he has every right to do.
Sorry, but
in Gaza, the bodies of 15 rescuers have been found in their sort of ambulances where they were apparently killed by Israeli forces. Just wondering if the White House is going to be calling on Israel to investigate that and to try and avoid similar casualties involving rescue workers in future.
Well, as for the specific situation you just mentioned, I'll talk to the president about it in our national security. He very much remains committed to backing Israel, and it was only because of this president and his team's leadership that we had a temporary ceasefire in Gaza, that we were able to bring many hostages home, and the president made it very clear to Hamas, you get the hostages out, all of them, or there will be hell to pay, and Hamas is certainly witnessing what it feels like for all hell to be paid, and the president supports Israel's right to defend itself.
Any progress at all on a ceasefire at the moment as far as the president's concerned?
The president and his team continue to be engaged on this every single day. Sure. Go ahead, Sam.
So I'm just wondering, related to that, if you have an approximate date for the president's first foreign trip. I think there was a little confusion yesterday about what month he was talking about. And then will he need a ceasefire to be in place or closer, either in Gaza or in Ukraine, before that trip takes place?
The president will be heading to Saudi Arabia in May. As for specific dates and details, we will be reading those out to you as soon as we possibly can. I know our teams are working on the details of that trip. And then again, as for a ceasefire, the president's made it clear that's what he wants to see in Russia and Ukraine, and his team continues to be engaged on it every day.
And Kelly. Signal, you said case closed yesterday. Do you, as that case was closed, do you have anything that you can share about what was learned, how this can be avoided in the future, any sort of findings from that investigation?
The case is closed, and the president continues to have confidence in his national security advisor. Yes, Kelly.
Kelly. Thanks, Karoline. So the
Sorry,
president has said.
Ed, I'll come to you after.
The president has
I'm
said,
glad you're so eager to ask a question.
It's Liberation Day.
Yes, it is.
Caroline, the president has said foreign countries and companies will eat the cost of tariffs. In his speech on Inauguration Day, he said, quote, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens.
Right.
So then why did he have to tell the domestic automakers not to raise prices?
Well, that was a private conversation that was had. I'm not sure if that comment was made or was not made. But as for what the president said in his Inauguration Day speech, he's absolutely correct. A tariff will be a tax on these foreign nations, these foreign companies, and if they want to be absolved of that tariff, then they can come here to the United States of America to do business, bring their jobs here. Edward, go ahead.
Thank you. So Canadians have been negotiating with the Commerce Secretary over the trade, the tariffs. How many companies are mutually talking with the U.S. or countries are mutually talking with the U.S. to lower tariffs?
I don't have a specific number, but I can tell you there have been quite a few countries that have called the president and have called his team in discussion about these tariffs. But again, there's one country the president cares most about, and it's the United States of America, and doing what's best for the people who elected him to this office to restore their jobs, their wealth, and their prosperity. I'm looking at the clock. I have a hard out today. I have a hard out today because I'm actually heading over to the State Department with the First Lady of the United States. She will be delivering remarks at 1 o'clock this afternoon at the 19th International Women of Courage Award ceremony with our great Secretary of State Marco Rubio. That starts at 1. This is the 5th year Mrs. Trump is participating and standing with brave women leaders who embody American values abroad. And the First Lady in her remarks today will highlight the profound connection between the love and courage that will be shown by this year's honorees. I encourage everybody to tune in at 1 o'clock, and then we'll see you all tomorrow for Liberation Day. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Caroline.
All right, that was the press briefing. little shorter than usual. We're going to take some comments from you guys. So let's take some comments from you. By the way, in case you didn't hear earlier, I am in Lima, Peru for a little while in South America. So I'll be doing coverage here. I have my miniature set up here, and I can do coverage while I'm on the road. It may not look or sound like it normally does. Maybe we might have some technical difficulties. There's a little bit of an issue with some of the sound there on that briefing. I'm sorry about that. But I'll be doing my best to do coverage. And later today, we are going to have coverage this evening of the special elections in Florida, the 2 House seats in Florida, and the state Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. We're going to be covering that tonight. We'll probably come on the air tonight around 6:15, 6:30-ish Eastern time. And we'll have coverage of those elections tonight. And tomorrow we will have coverage of President Trump's tariff announcement. That is at 4 p.m. Eastern, so we'll come on sometime before that to cover that. So even though I'm in a different part of the world, we will continue to be doing coverage as news comes up. Let's see. Let me take some comments from you guys. What did you think of the press briefing? Also, really quick, I want to say a couple quick thank yous here. Thank you so much to Weasel Man for your support, and I really appreciate that, Weasel Man, and Ruben Peters, Fumo, our new member, Anna. Thank you, Anna, and James H. for your support. Sorry, I missed a couple before. And MP4 Nuclear, thanks for your support as well. And Crazy Yoda. Thank you, Crazy Yoda, for your support too. All right, let me read some comments from you guys. What did you think? What did you think of the press briefing? David Carson said he is going to be keeping up tonight with the elections. She did say there was an interesting moment where there was the administration said in the court document yesterday that one of the people who had been deported to the prison in El Salvador was deported there because of an administrative error. And at one point in the briefing, there was some sort of question which was like something like, well, there was a judge that had said that that person was not supposed to be deported, and they were. And then she said, the press secretary said something like, well, who does the judge work for? And she said it was an immigration judge who technically worked for Pam Bondi. So we had some comments in the chat saying something like, well, is she saying that it's okay to ignore the judge's order? Anyways, if you want, you can go back and I don't have a time code for that, but I thought that was interesting. Artful Nothings thinks she is wrong about that. I'll see. I have I'll show you a little something about that story. I'll show you a little something right now about it. If you give me 2 seconds here. Here. I found it. Look, I found it. Trump, ICE admits administrative error in deporting Maryland man to El Salvador. This is what that conversation was about in the press briefing. President Trump's administration, AP says, this is being widely reported, has acknowledged mistakenly deporting a Maryland man with protected legal status to a notorious El Salvador prison, but is arguing against returning him to federal custody in the United States because of alleged gang ties. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials admitted in a court filing last night, to an, quote, administrative error in deporting the 29-year-old man, generating immediate uproar from immigration advocates. Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia was arrested on March 12th after completing a shift as a sheet metal worker apprentice at a construction site in Baltimore, according to a complaint filed by his lawyers. He was then sent to a notorious prison in his home country, the Terrorism Confinement Center, or CCOT, which activists say is rife with abuses and where inmates are packed into cells and never allowed outside. He was placed in El Salvador, in that prison in El Salvador, despite an immigration judge's ruling in 2019 that he was not to be deported to El Salvador because he had established that it was more likely than not that he would be persecuted by gangs. Although the complaint by the man's lawyer, I think it is, his lawyer said, although he has been accused of general gang affiliation, the U.S. government has never produced an iota of evidence to support this unfounded assertion, said the man's lawyers. They say he is not in any street gang. The administration, the press secretary today claimed that there was compelling evidence. She said he is in MS-13. I think she said he's a leader in MS-13. Now, the administration has not presented evidence of that publicly at this point. She actually said, the press secretary today, that she had seen evidence today, I believe it was, if I remember right. The Trump administration said in its court filing that ICE was aware of his protection from removal to El Salvador because of a judge's ruling, but still deported him because of an administrative error. The administration argued against his return to the U.S., citing alleged gang ties and claiming he is a danger to the community. The administration stated his gang ties were confirmed at a 2019 bond proceeding and upheld by the Board of Immigration Appeals. Again, I'm not aware that they have publicly presented evidence that he is an MS-13. One of our viewers said that for transparency, they should make the evidence public. Our viewer, Jay, where did it go? It flew by there. I wanted to read another comment, but it flew by. Give me a moment to see if I can find it here. One of our viewers, J. Lig Rinder, said this is what that landslide mandate was all about. "999 Avatar says, alleged ties, great due process has been canceled, guys. Andrew says, for transparency, make the evidence public, then bye-bye, have a nice flight. Yeah, I don't know what evidence the government has. That I cannot say. Thank you, by the way, to KM Alabama RTR for being a member. What about Cory Booker? Yeah, we're not covering that right now, but Cory Booker, if he's still speaking, has been speaking for about 18 hours in protest of the Trump administration. We showed a little bit of that before the briefing. He was speaking as of a little while ago. If he's still speaking, I'm sure it's available somewhere else. You can see here. One of our viewers said he's still speaking. New Jersey Senator Booker presses his marathon speech against Trump's agenda past 17 hours and counting. You can see there. He spoke all night into Tuesday afternoon, says AP, in a feat of endurance to show Democrats' objections to President Trump's sweeping actions. He took these to the Senate floor Monday night, saying he would remain there as long as he was physically able. He was plainly exhausted today as his speech stretched past 17 hours. It was a remarkable show of stamina, among the longest in Senate history, as Democrats tried to show their frustrated supporters that they are doing everything possible to contest Trump's agenda. As his speech rolled through Tuesday morning, Booker got some help from Democratic colleagues who gave him a break from speaking to ask him a question and praised his performance. Booker yielded for questions but made sure to say he would not give up the floor. As Booker stood for hour after hour, he appeared to have nothing more than a couple glasses of water to sustain him. Does he get to go to the bathroom? I haven't been watching the whole time. I would assume so. How does that work? Booker's speech was not a filibuster, which is a speech meant to halt the advance of a specific piece of legislation. Instead, his performance was a broader critique of Trump's agenda. Is it a diaper? So somebody said diaper. People are saying maybe he's wearing a diaper. So does he not get to go to the bathroom? Gina Pina says, I don't think he's left the podium at all. Maybe he's wearing a diaper. That I don't know. I haven't been watching the whole time. Does anyone know how that has gone? You could also wear, in theory, you could wear some sort of device that maybe collects things under your pants. You know, they have these kind of device. They have different contraptions. Interesting. Again, I haven't been watching the whole time, so maybe he's just been up there literally. Maybe he can't even step away at all. I'm gonna try to find an answer for you. Eric Zimmerman thinks they give you time to go to the bathroom. I don't know. Someone knows. Someone out there knows. All right. Well, anyways, that's still going on. I'm not going to spend lots of time on that. I guess not. Yes, he cannot, according to CNN, he's not allowed to use the restroom. He cannot yield the floor, sit down, or to sit for a break to sit down or use the restroom. Because then the presiding officer could move on with Senate business. So however he's doing it, there you go. He cannot leave the podium. Yes, T.J. Adams said that. Yep. So however he's doing it, Confidence in God says he cannot use the bathroom. Well, he cannot physically use the bathroom. He can go to the bathroom, figuratively speaking. One of our viewers said he can yield for questions but not yield the floor. That's name is Goob. All right, well, look, here's what we're going to do. We are going to by the way, thanks to Daredevil 2300 for your support. We actually, that's really nice of you, Daredevil 2300. We actually did a stream on my personal channel from Peru last night. It's Lookner on YouTube and Looknerd on Twitch. We did one from here last night. So I'll probably be doing a few of those while I'm here too. It's my second personal channel. If anybody wants to check that out, Lookner on YouTube and Looknerd on Twitch. By the way, it's no longer the White House briefing, obviously. We just showed it. But what I'm going to do, even though I'm going to change the headline right now, is we have to come back on in a little bit because we are going to cover tonight the special elections, the 2 House elections filling U.S. House seats in Florida, and the Wisconsin Supreme Court judge special election. We're covering all of those tonight. And I'm going to come on the air probably around 6:15 or 6:30 Eastern time because the first polls close in one of those races at 7 Eastern time. So I hope you guys can come back and join me for that. We're going to cover those elections tonight, which many are seeing as maybe will give a sign of how the country is feeling about the new Trump administration. All right? So I hope you guys can come back and join me for that. So I think I'm going to go eat something now, take a break, and then we will be back. And while I'm here, as long as I'm able to, if there's huge breaking news, I will jump on the air when it happens. And I am planning on covering President Trump's big tariff announcement tomorrow as well. All right? So I appreciate you guys being here. Oh, Chelsea says, I'm in Wisconsin, I'll be here. So I hope to see you tonight. I really appreciate you guys joining me for this live stream. Appreciate you bearing with me as we cover this from Peru and things are a little messed up. Again, I got to fix, there's a little, I think I know what it is. It's a bit difficult to fix, but there's a little bit of an issue with the lighting, green screen effect like around here. But I'll have to figure out if I can fix that. Anyways, but at least things generally are working right now. So subscribe, follow Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda. Also, I will still be posting on my X account from Peru, posting breaking news. You can follow me there at Lookner on X. As you can see right in front of you, at Lookner on X. Follow me over there for breaking news coverage when I'm not on the air. And turn on the notifications so you know when we're going live. I don't know in advance when big news is going to happen usually, so we have a notification system. It works awesome. We do it through Discord. It's free to sign up. You get sent a notification whenever we go live, and it's very easy to sign up. So the mods can post the link to the notifications in the chat. You can find it on our Facebook and YouTube descriptions. In our Facebook and YouTube descriptions for this video, you can find it there as well. So make sure you sign up for the notifications. And by the way, thank you so much. So thank you. I appreciate everybody who came by to this stream. Thank you. And thanks to everybody who's been posting comments in the chat, letting me read your comments on the air. Huge thanks to our moderators for being here. Thank you so much, moderators. You guys are awesome. Shout out to Beth Mythical, for example, Sabrina, and Danny James, and all of our other, Cynthia Moon, all of our other moderators who've been over there on YouTube. On Twitch, we have, hang on a moment here, thanks to our moderators over there, people like Idaho Star, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3, McBritches, Sarah, Surly, Dev, Tariag, thank you, Twitch moderators, our X moderators, Linda Belk, Larry, Misha, thank you so much. Our Facebook moderators, thank you very much, Facebook moderators. There's a little maintenance going on, I think, where I'm staying. So you might hear a little noise in the background right now. Sorry about that. Kay Larry Body, Paul Anderson, Margaret Riley, thanks so much for moderating over there. Thanks to everybody who donated. That's super nice of you guys. Shout out to everybody who donated. I think I thanked everybody. Hopefully I got everybody earlier. I think I did. Oh, did I thank Paul Tissue for being a member? I don't think I got Paul Tissue. Did I get Freedom Can? I don't know if I got Freedom Can. Freedom Can and Aleppo Gambit and Dean R. Oh, Donna Smith. Thanks, Donna Smith. Again, KM Alabama, Weaselman, Crazy Yoda, PZ Papa Zulu, Lynn Downey, Nicholas Hersant, thank you. Daredevil, Cubat on Twitch, thanks so much. Mick Britches as well. And if you ever want to donate to the channel, you can go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. But thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thanks. Also, we do have a YouTube. We have a Discord chat. You can chat with other viewers when we're not live. It's free. A lot of our viewers like doing the Discord chat, so check that out if you want. Same link as the free notifications link. And thanks so much to our Discord mods as well. Oh, you know what? I might have missed some comments here. Oh no, let me just check on the comments here. Thanks so much to our Discord moderators. Let's see here. I was just trying to check something here. But we will be returning tonight. Oh, Trucker Jim. Trucker Jim thinks the tariffs will not work out the way Trump thinks they will. He thinks the auto industry will not hire people, they will hire robots. I'm hearing the tourism industry is in big trouble. That's from Trucker Jim, who just wrote in. Yeah, I've heard, I don't have facts on this. I've read a couple stories suggesting that perhaps tourism could go down in the U.S. because of the, maybe, people might be scared to come by immigration policy, or maybe people might not want to come because they might have some disagreements with the Trump administration. I don't know. So I'll be interested to see if and how those numbers are impacted in the coming months. We'll have to see. Thanks, Tammy and David, for watching over there on Facebook. It says, excited for the Florida coverage. And, I think we might have had another viewer write in. Okay, no, that's good for now, I think. Okay. Hey, shout out to a couple more shout outs here. Shout out to our subscribers over on Facebook, like Rita Evans Lang. Thanks so much for subscribing there. Lou Green, Eve Richards, Robert Rial II, Erin Van S. Thank you, Erin, for subscribing. Sharon Klassen Goslin. Again, Robert Rial II, thank you. Thanks so much for subscribing and helping the channel out over there on Facebook. Thank you very much. Kay Larry Body and Margaret Riley, all of our other Facebook subscribers, big thanks. Over on Twitch, thanks so much to our subscribers over there. Hang on a second here. Like Bogan and Stunned in the North, Gina Pina, McBritches, Artful Nothing, Kitty Tiger, Amalian, Holistic. Thanks for subscribing on Twitch. Mr. Bigley, Uncredible, Jazzy, Renee, Nikki Newark. Thank you. Did I thank Matthew Kohai 3? T-Bone 87. Cubat, McBritches, all of our other, Wall Street Shaggy, all of our other subscribers there. Thank you so much. Bogan, Jimba, and also our YouTube members. Hey, thanks so much to our YouTube members. People like Susie Irish and Allie C, Evelyn in Maine, the one and only, Confidence in God, Roger Shoemaker, Dean R, Julie J.K. Senar, Turned Off, Paul Tissue, Confidence in God, Kenneth Colton, thanks Kenneth, CAC 813, Macro Geek, Babs, Ane, all of our other YouTube members, Suji Irish, and everybody else for watching. Thank you. All right, so we're going to wrap this up right now, but a reminder again that we will be back later today in a few hours with coverage, probably in about 5 hours, with coverage of the special elections tonight in Florida and Wisconsin, and tomorrow we will have tariff coverage. Okay? Oh, thanks, some other members here. Peasy Wheats, thanks for being a member. Beam me up. Anna, thank you. All right, we are wrapping this up. Joe Hart. Mama 457 Rose. All right. Pierre Dubois says, we'll be here for the circus. We'll see what happens tonight. All right, guys. Thank you again for watching. I really appreciate you being here. Thanks, Monkey Lover over there, for watching. Really appreciate you joining. And we will be back here from Lima, Peru for more news tonight. So I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon with more live coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.